Hey everyone! So we're going to be doing a movie review, and we're really excited because is this our first movie review? I think so.
I would say yes on
Yeah.
video. Yes.
So we're going to be doing some movie reviews, some TV show reviews. We're really excited to kind of get into that. And so we're going to be doing Sinners. Spoiler alert: if you have not seen Sinners, you might want to not listen to this right now. Go watch it and then come back, and we'll be very excited to have you with us. Like I said, go watch Sinners and then come back and then listen to us talk about it because we're really excited. It was wonderful. Let me just start there.
Okay.
It was wonderful. This is what, we're always talking about. Hollywood needs a new, IP. They need to have original stories. They need to stop repurposing stories. And Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, they just work so great together. And Ryan Coogler did his thing for this movie. Okay. It was so good. So it's a vampire movie, but it's not like in the traditional sense. Like it's based on Black culture. It was well written. The soundtrack was like, the music in it was just amazing. And I don't know who the actor is that played. Is it Samuel Moore in the movie? He is fantastic. Okay. Apparently he's a newcomer, and I thought he stole the show for me. He was so good in this movie. What did you think of the movie?
It was like 7.5 for me.
Really?
Yeah.
I give it a solid 8.
7.5.
Okay, why do you give
I
it a
didn't think it was
7.5?
that. I didn't think it was that original. There were no big ideas that came through. It just so happened that this was just vampires that came out and attacked during the 1930s. I didn't see anything like that was original. The one part I would say is an A+ was the use of music, and the way they explained the use of music was that it could pierce the veil and it can draw certain things from like the spirit realm towards you. That was nice, but I felt like they could have gone deeper into it. One scene that took me out was when you had people. It was set in the 1930s, and suddenly you see people from the future there, and that kind of threw me off. It took me out of the movie.
Oh,
I don't.
did you not get the reason why?
Well, he said because like music can draw people from the past and the
Present
future.
and future. Right.
But then when he started incorporating them right in the middle of the
Oh, I
scene, it really
see.
just took me out. Like it took me out. The film was too dark for me. I feel like I couldn't see what was going on. Certain scenes, I'm like, if they just made it a little bit brighter, it would have been better. And the person you said stood out, the character, like his voice was too deep for me. It was like something was in his mouth the whole time as he
His
was
name is
talking.
Mouse Catton. I think
Yeah,
that's how you say it. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that part just bothered me a lot. Like I was just like, what are they saying sometimes?
Mm-hmm.
The A+ part was how they used music. There were
Mm-hmm.
certain scenes where it felt a bit like a musical, and that attitude that made it good.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a scene where the vampires are like dancing and running in a circle, and then it makes sense because it gives you that supernatural feel that the vampires are all under one thought, one mind.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like really good. But like I said, when he had the scene where he said that music can pierce the veil and reach into the past and the future, and then you see musicians from different time periods, that really threw me off. I was like, it stopped being a horror movie in that moment.
I thought it was good. Here are some of the things that I thought was good. I thought the original idea was great. I thought that the costumes. I believe he also used Ruth Carter. I think that's her name. She also did Wakanda, Black Panther, and Wakanda Forever, I believe. And I thought the costumes in this movie was just really outstanding. I thought the story was great. It being from the 1930s, and seeing how life was back then, and seeing just how, again, life was back then for Black folks. And I thought Michael B. Jordan did a fantastic job acting as the twins. Like I could tell which was which, because sometimes it's a little iffy when the same actor plays twins, or plays the same person, or whatever. So I thought that was really great. The music element was really really good. Some of the things that threw me, not threw me off, but I was trying to understand was where the vampire part came in, like where he came from, the main
Yeah.
vampire person. I think in part of the story, it made it seem like, was it Preacher Boy? That was his name.
Mhm.
That he called him because of his music.
Yeah.
But then there were other parts where, like, he just showed up at the doorstep without. So I don't know if it was because of that Preacher Boy. There's a scene. So there's a scene in the movie where he was playing for one of the twins. So maybe that's where he came from, but I wasn't sure. So that part I didn't quite get. But yeah, I even loved the sort of mid credit scene that ended the movie in between the
That was
credits.
good.
I thought that was fantastic, because we it sort of got to wrap up and see, there's a particular scene in the movie where you don't know what happens, and so they kind of showed at the end credit scene, and you're like, oh, okay, okay. I thought that was great. But yeah, yeah, overall I thought it was a really great story. I thought it was original. I thought it was, I like the sort of like the magic and the voodoo elements of it. I thought that was, like the supernatural stuff. I thought that was good. There were a couple of jump scares, and I was like, oh, that caught me off guard, because I'm not a big, like I don't do horror movies like that. They're not my thing. I can't do them. They give me nightmares. But I thought this one was a little bit more palatable, that I can, I was like, oh, okay, I could digest this. It's pretty good. So yeah, those are just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I did nothing about it stood out to me. Nothing about it was special, but the music I did only
So why
like
do you
the.
think that people loved it so much? Well, I mean, obviously it's subjective, because you're like, I don't like this, but I'm just curious, like.
Yeah, nothing about it was like mind twisting or like, here's what triggered everything, and here's where it all ties back together. It was just, the vampires liked his music and that's what draw them to him. Like
I don't
that
know.
was nothing. That
I
was
just
like, I
enjoyed it.
like your music. That's it. It was. I thought it was like maybe something where his music opened that door, but that wasn't the
That
case
is
either
what it
because
was. The music, his music, the way he sang. I think that's the whole concept of it. Is certain people, because they're so gifted, the way they sing opens up the veil to another world.
well, that wasn't the case because what they said was that it opened up the veil to the past and the present with these musicians, but obviously they weren't there. They were there in a spiritual sense. What the vampires were saying was that, well, we just like your sound, and they hinted at it being more something along the lines of something spiritual. That's why we like it. But I thought it was going to be something deeper, like the music actually awakened him or something. Like his particular voice, his particular gift is what attracted him. But
That is what they
obviously,
said. That's what they said in
that it
the
awakened him because he seemed to
yeah.
already exist.
No, no, no. That's what he said. He said your music drew me here.
No, but
It's,
no, drew him here. Yes, drew him there. I thought it was going to be something like his music awakened him, like he's asleep for hundreds of years, and he
oh,
hears
you
this
okay?
gift in the world,
I see what you mean.
and it awakened him. It just seems like, oh well, like this vampire was already around in the world, and the vampire himself is already musical. So he said, oh, like I hear this music, I want it for myself too. That was the only part that kind of hinted at something racial, because I guess what they were saying, due to racism or white supremacy sees a gift in us and they want to take it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's some of the comments that I hear online. But again, they didn't go deep enough into it. They didn't say like this is something that constantly happens or this is something that's been done before. Something that you could be like, you could tie it all around. And so I felt like they missed that mark.
I
Like it just seemed like this was just a one-off kind of thing. He just happened to be in the neighborhood and he liked the music and was hungry, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I think for me too, it was a little confusing as to where he came from, but I do know they like in the specific scene they did specify that his particular gift of like his singing attracted them. But
Yeah,
I wasn't sure like at what point did he draw him in? You
yeah,
know, and like at what point, because he just showed up, and so I wasn't sure like was he already there and then the music attracted him, or did the music bring him there?
yeah.
So I think that's the part that was a little muddy.
Like they did hint on the fact that the vampires have like some sort of telepathy. They could feel people's griefs or their pain. That was kind
Yeah.
of nice. They hinted at a lot of like supernatural stuff. I did like how they did not demonize hoodoo or voodoo. I like that part because
I do
typically in
too.
those movies they'll say it was that voodoo or whatever that caused it or whatever, or they'll make it sound negative. But throughout
In
the
fact, I think
movie,
it was a plus in this movie, you
yeah,
know?
it was the hoodoo woman who knew how to fight them, resist them. She had all the knowledge. And then I particularly like the scene because when Michael B. Jordan's character is fighting his brother, he has that necklace that the woman made for him.
And he
And then
couldn't bite him.
he couldn't buy him because of that. And I just love
Yeah.
that little, because typically, again, when it comes to our mythology, our ancestral beliefs, it's immediately tied to the devil because that's
Hmm.
what colonization has done to us. So I love the fact that Ryan Coogler made it a point not to let it be demonized.
Right. I love that part because it is, this stuff is real. Like there are tons of look, being from a culture where we are both from, you hear stories, right?
Yeah, we hear
And
stories, we
you
hear
hear
gossip, we
stories
hear
about,
rumors.
yeah, you hear rumors, you hear things, and you're like, and I've always been on the, I do believe there's like spiritual warfare and there's like spiritual stuff, but I don't like buy into all of that stuff. But I do know that it exists. Like I've heard stories. I know things exist. Do I personally like buy into it and think about it much? No. As you know, I just I don't think so. But again, coming from a culture that we both come from, we know that it's a thing.
It's talked about. This is the
It's
thing.
talked
It's
about.
talked
Yeah.
about. It's all a lot of it is gossip, rumors, and superstition. You remember the movie The Skeleton Key?
I've heard of it, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
Is based on hoodoo, and the villains in the movie they can possess your body, and they use that to stay for immortality. Like they'll find somebody's young body to take over, and the hoodoo only works if you believe. That
Hmm.
to me was original. It was new, and it was also based on some black mythology. The only problem was that it was mostly like starring a white cast. I
Hmm.
didn't get that feeling from the movie Sinners because there wasn't no explanation to it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good take on a good twist to the vampire mythology. You know, especially in for Black culture. I thought it was. And look, there's a, you know, we've seen a bajillion vampire movies out there,
Mm-hmm.
but I thought the twist of like tying it into like the Black community and Black culture and, you know, Black music and, you know, our music being seen as like the, or not our music particular, but like music at that certain time being seen as, you know, the devil's music and all that stuff. I thought that was great, incorporating all of that in there. But yeah, I did like the fact that they did not, you know, demonize like voodoo or magic or anything like that, and that was seen as a plus,
Mm-hmm.
in identifying the type of monster they were dealing with, and also like helping to quote unquote like defeat it. And it also blew my mind that all of this took place in one day.
One day, one day.
One day. Like, what a day. Like, talk about, I don't know if it's like wrong place, wrong time or what happened, but it's, yeah, all of it took place in one day. I went to support it because obviously we have to support movies like this, especially if we're asking for, you know, original stories, original ideas, like, and it being, you know, by a black cast and well, majority black cast, a black writer, director, you know, we have to go support our people. And I heard great reviews, and I think it's like 98% now Rotten Tomatoes. I could be wrong, but it's really up there. Those are just our thoughts on it. If you have not seen it, make sure you go. Well, you better have seen it to be watching
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I would
This
only see
just
it
gave a
one
lot of
time.
it.
I would only see it one time.
Oh, I would watch it again. Maybe
Yeah.
not in the movies, but if it came on like on demand or something, I would definitely watch it again. I
Yeah.
would. Yeah.
Like it was okay.
Yeah, well, different perspective. I
Yeah.
liked it. I would watch it again. I've heard people, you know, I've seen it 3, 4 times. It's, you know, I thought it was a good movie.
Hmm.
For me, I thought it was a good movie. Well, all right. So this was our first movie review. What do we give it? What's our collective score for this?
Yeah, I think like a 7, 7.5.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. So we're giving it a. I want to go a little higher,
Hmm.
but because we don't know, like, the whole vampire part was a little muddy, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
So we here at Foreign Lady Movie Review are giving it a 7.5.
I will say this. So the way they ended the movie, you could have a sequel where he
Mm-hmm.
does go into the origin. And if that was his plan all along, if he's thinking long-term sequels, then it's an A+.
Yes. Well, I did hear that that they wanted to be some kind of a franchise or something. So I don't know. They could be a sequel. There might
Hmm.
not. But it does leave it open ended for it to be for there to be a sequel for sure, or for there to
Yeah.
be more for sure.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to our movie review. We really appreciate it. If you have not seen Sinners, please go check it out. I think it's great. Make sure you listen to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. All right, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.